Good morning. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to WMNJ 88.9 FM, Madison, the Forest, in the Honeycomb Hideout, where praise and inspiration are sweet to the soul and nourishing to the bones. And truly, we give praise to God this morning for Alan Paul Weaver III, who's in the studio with us.
Amen.
Amen. And we know that we will be inspired by your word and your testimony that you bring and share with us this morning. Your book, which we've mentioned a couple of times, we're just going to keep plugging it throughout so that the people will go out and purchase it because it is an amazing addition to any library. It speaks so much about what it means to grow from childhood, if you will, into adulthood and to lean on God during that process. And it's very honest and raw, which is, I think, what I appreciate about it. So, when did you start writing?
The book or just writing
in general?
High school. Actually, I started writing in junior high. I would keep a journal, mm-hmm. and I would basically write about my problems. And it was a way to help keep me from self-destructing.
Yes.
We already talked about being a preacher's kid.
Uh-huh.
And, I always looked at it as, my dad might as well be a doctor on call, working 70 hours a week because, he's so busy. And so, I had some issues growing up.
Right.
Dealing with that. And so I would write about how I was feeling. There were a couple of times when I contemplated suicide. I would write about that. I would just write about whatever I was experiencing. Mm-hmm. And then once I got into high school and I started taking writing classes and creative writing classes, that's when I realized that, hey, I really have a gift that can go beyond just journaling for myself.
Awesome. Okay, and you mentioned that you started writing. The book was released in 2006.
Yes.
And it's 10 years of writing.
It's 10 years of writing.
What was that process like? I mean, when you started writing, did you know you were writing a book?
I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 1995, and I was a mass communication and speech comm major. And one day we had a one-day conference at my college in the humanities division. And they brought in people from TV, they brought in people from radio, and they brought in people from print media. And Omar Tyree, who's best-selling author,
yes.
Back then he had just come out with his first book called Battle Zone. And so he was the speaker for the print side. And so here I am in a room full of students, and it was something about his presentation that it was like everyone else didn't exist. TV
right.
didn't exist, radio didn't exist.
Right.
Something, it was like a fire was just stirred up in me from hearing about him talking about writing his book and what he went through.
Okay.
And after the interview, he was selling his books, and I didn't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
A college student didn't have a dime that
yes.
day. And so I prayed about that, and I went and spoke to him, and I asked him question after question after question
right.
in during that conference time, and other students were like, "Alan, shut up! Give people a chance to ask their questions." And afterwards, he said, "Hey, you're that guy that was asking me all the questions." And I said, "Yeah." So he signed me a book for free.
Praise
said,
God.
"Keep asking questions," and gave it to me.
Praise
and
God.
It was a couple of weeks after that I felt that the Lord told me, "I want you to write a book."
Amen.
And I was like, I don't know the first thing about writing a book. You're going to have to give me, what to write. And that started the process in 95.
Amen. And so you went to this conference, yes, question after question with Omar Tyree. So before that, were there any pieces that you wrote before that have made their way into the book?
I had a couple of pieces. Before They Die was one that I had published in our school publications.
Okay.
At college. We put out a book of poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And so that piece was in there. That was probably the only one. There may have been another that I'm forgetting, but that was probably the only one that made it pre. I want you to write this book.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, this is really good and amazing in the way in which God moves and who God uses, and when and where He uses people just to plant seeds.
Right.
And to sow seeds into our ministry that we have no idea what it's going to become. Not only do we have the book transitions, but we also have the audio CD.
Working on that, yes.
Working on that. And you're hearing pieces from that today, and you'll be able to purchase that later on.
Yes, hopefully it should be out next month.
Amen. And at the end of the show, we'll tell you how to get all this stuff so that you can continue to be inspired.